Hi everybody. These are the basic supplies that you guys will need to supply yourself before you get started on your chandelier. You're going to need Novacon blackening patina. You can get it at any stained glass supply store. You're going to need to get some paste finishing wax in natural or clear. That you can get at Home Depot. It's about $9. Then you're going to need some soft wax in dark by Annie Sloan or CC Caldwell. You can just go online and see who carries it locally. Lasts forever. Both of them are going to last you a really long time. Some soft cotton towels or cloths that are fairly thin, not real thick. You're going to need acrylic paint, the color of your choice that you want to paint your chandelier. The one that's shown is painted in ivory. Then you're going to need a permanent marker, some medium and small paintbrushes, some latex gloves. You can get those at Costco or Michael's or Home Depot. Some E6000 glue in clear. You can get that at Michael's or Walmart as well. Some basic jewelry clamps. You can get those at Michael's for about $5. And then some just small clamps today. We're not going to be using large and medium ones. Just really small clamps that you can get at Home Depot as well. Once you have all these things, also I want you to grab a plastic bowl, because we're going to use a plastic bowl to put your Novacon liquid in, and you might want to grab another plastic bowl and some rubbing alcohol, because we're going to use that as well. So once you have all these things, come back and sit down and we'll start our chandelier. All right, the first thing we're going to do is we're going to blacken our jump rings, our chains, and if you want, you can take the little brass bow ties off of your crystals and blacken those. I like them blackened. They're blackened in the sample, but you know, it's up to you guys. You guys can leave them gold if you'd like. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to pour a small amount of the Novacon, about 1/4 of an inch, maybe a ½ inch if you want, but don't use too much. It's not necessary. And we're going to take, first I'm going to take my bow ties and I'm just going to drop them in there. I'm wearing my rubber gloves. They're going to blacken really pretty quickly. And as soon as they're blackened, I want you to take them out, lay them down on newspaper or just paper. Then I'm going to take my jump rings and I'm going to blacken those. They're going to blacken pretty easily. I want you to do the same thing. I want you to remove them and lay them down. Then I'm going to take all of the chains. I'm just using one piece of chain right now just to show you guys how I do it. The chain's going to blacken fairly quickly as well. You can blacken it as much as you like or as little. You don't even have to blacken it if you don't want to. It's kind of neat. It is vintage chain. Take it out. Lay it on the paper. Then went and got a little plastic bowl, and I'm just going to use some rubbing alcohol. I'm going to pour a little bit, and I'm going to put the things I blackened in there and just move them around. You don't have to do this, but I like to do it because the blackening stuff will just keep coming off. So swish it around in there and take it out. I'll lay my chains out on the paper. I'm going to do everything. The alcohol will dry out the oil that's in the blackening patina. Put them on the paper. Then you can get a rag, cotton rag, and you can dry them off. Don't let them sit. You probably should dry them all off, everything. Your chain is not going to be fun, but you got to do what you got to do. I'll just keep pulling it through until it pulls through clean. You want to do this on all the pieces of your chain. Now, brass will always blacken and age like this with the Novacon. So that's why you should always look at your metals, because not all metals are going to blacken. Tinned tape and such will also blacken because it's got like a thin layer of solder on it. Like the jump rings are copper they're tinned, so they're silver, but they'll blacken. Okay, so once you've finished all this, we're going to come back and we're going to go to the next step. All right, I want you to take your brass pieces that you've received from me, and here's just some of them. And what I want you to notice is that there's a spot on the center ring where it's still brass. I've left that plain brass because that's where you're going to be gluing your bezels. The backs of the bezels are still brass as well. So what I want you to do now is I want you to pick the acrylic color paint of your choice. I'm going to be using a pale blush pink today on this one. And I want you to paint them, but on these center ones, I don't want you to paint where there's no primer. It's where it's just brass. I want you to leave that, just the brass. Doesn't have to be perfect, but you want to have the center at least just brass, simply because that's where you're going to be putting your E6000. And the E6000 doesn't like to adhere really well when there's paint. So see how I'm doing this? I'm just leaving that open. So I want you to go around on all your pieces and do the same thing I'm doing. I'm only going to do this one all the way just because I want to keep this shorter. But you guys get the gist of it. Then I'm going to go and I'm going to paint all my brass bezels. I'm just going to go around the sides, keeping the center of that brass just brass still. Doesn't have to be perfect. I mean, you can get some on the back, but don't get a lot. Basically, you want your center to be without paint. And then you don't have to do the insides. Just do the outsides, but don't do the inside of the... And you're going to do about 3 coats on all of your pieces, and when they're dry, we're going to come back and we're going to wax. All right, now everything's been painted. Remember, we left the backs of our bezels, and the small portion that I left brass, we've left that brass, and we didn't paint over that. And I'm just doing 2 pieces right now to show you, but all of your pieces should be painted, both inside and out, the color that you want, preferably about 3 coats, and completely dry. The first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to take my soft cloth and I'm going to dip it in the Minwax Paste Natural or Clear. And what I'm going to do is, do not get the wax where the brass is. I'm just going to take it and I'm going to rub it in. Over the whole thing where it's painted. I'm going to do 1 layer. The first layer is going to be the soft natural or clear wax. Okay, I don't have to do the whole thing. You're going to also do it in sections. Once that's done, I'm going to take a paintbrush, a small one, and I'm going to put it in the dark wax. You only need a tiny bit. This dark wax is going to last you guys forever. And I'm going to go over and get in the nooks and crannies where I had already done the clear wax. Remember, don't get it in the brass. And see how it's getting down in the nooks and crannies of the brass and showing the detail? going around the raw brass. I'm not going to get it in there. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to go in about 2 seconds at a time. And I'm going to go back with my soft cloth and I'm going to go back to my clear wax. I'm going to get some on the cloth and I'm going to wipe the dark wax off. So you're going to wipe the dark wax off with your light wax. You can take off as much or as little as you want. And you know what, you guys, if you do happen to get some on the brass, don't even worry about it, because you can come back with alcohol and steel wool, and you can get it off. You can clean it off. Just want to make sure that your raw brass has nothing on it when you go to glue your bezels on. You can take off as much, like I said, as much or as little as you want. I like to leave some detail. Alright, so what we're going to do is just pretend that I've done the whole entire thing. We're going to do it on all 3 of the pieces. Then I'm going to come with and do the exact same thing to the outsides of the bevels. I'm not going to do it to the bottom. I'm not going to do it to the inside. I just want to get some detail on these. Some of you might have the sharper, or some of you might have the lace edged. Anyway, I'm wiping it off. So I'm doing the same thing basically to the bevel. I want you to let those sit, all 3 pieces, once they've done. Let those sit about 8 hours, because you just want them really dry, the wax. You want the wax to dry. And after about 8 hours, we're going to come back and we're going to attach the chain. But first, next, what I'm going to do is, when these are dry, I have some that are dry, I'm going to come back and show you on video. We're going to put our paper, our image in there, and then we're going to put our glass in these. So I'll be back in just a minute. Alright, you guys. Next you're going to have your images. You can either use the ones that you printed off that I sent you, or you can use your own images. For this chandelier, once I get it done, it's going to be more religious towards my Catholic faith. So I'm going to use a picture of the Blessed Mother, and I've cut it to fit the glass. I'm going to lay it down in my bezel setting. You don't need to glue it. Just laid it down in there. I'm going to put my glass there. And then I'm going to take my jewelry pliers. Sorry about that. And I'm just going to push each one of these down. If you have a lace edge, then just push the lace edge. The rounded edge is easier, actually. And I'm going to push these all the way down. And once they're all the way pushed around, we're going to do it on each one of your glass pieces, your small and your medium-sized ones.